So today is Halloween. And I have watched 50 horror movies this year. 50! And we're gonna rank every single one of them today. And in case you're watching this in the future and say, Nick, where's Nosferatu on this list? It's not out yet. At number 50, we have Trap. I really did not enjoy this movie because my excitement for this was higher. I think that's what made this more crushing and ended up being my least favorite horror movie of the year. The Deliverance, Kid Eats Poop. I think that perfectly sums up this movie. All my friends are dead. Similar to Trap, I was actually looking forward to this. I really liked the director. The characters and dialogue in this movie were just too unbearable to watch. Next three on the list, Imaginary, Night Swim, and Tarot. They are all just really bad, and I can't figure out which one is worse. Subservience. When will people learn to stop making robots so goddamn strong? Haunt Season. If you are not a theater kid or work at a haunted house, I think you could skip this one. Baghead. Please do not compare this to Talk to Me. That is an outright crime. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. Much better than the first one, but still kinda eh. Strangers Chapter 1. What was the point of restarting this franchise but making it worse in every single way? Mind, Body, Spirit. Pretty fun and interesting concept, but falls into similar found footage horror tropes. The Watchers. Incredibly beautiful to look at, but nothing captivating to enjoy. Humane. An interesting Purge-like concept that is poorly executed. The Well. This is an Italian horror film, and there are some great special effects in this one, but it lacks heavily in the script department. Vaccine. Pretty disappointing ending to an almost fantastic trilogy. Lisa Frankenstein. It's not my cup of tea, but I enjoy the 80s vibe. Don't Move. This is the most okay and safe thriller of the year, just instantly forgettable. Platform 2. It's pretty much just the Platform 1 again. Somewhere quiet. An interesting take on trauma and PTSD, but is a little too confusing for its own good. Salem's Lot. This is a pretty good adaptation of the original film, but I couldn't help but feel this had a dated look and way of storytelling. Apartment 7A. Another remake slash prequel. There's a few of those on this list this year, but I felt this one lacked character and originality. Mr. Crockett. This one has a very fun 90s vibe and awesome practical effects, but I think the story moves too fast to let any sort of tension or scares build. Stop motion. Really awesome stop motion effects in this movie, but it's sort of the opposite of Mr. Crockett, where this film feels like it's 3 hours long. Infested. If you hate spiders, this is absolutely terrifying, but the third act of this movie kinda loses me. We have Daddy's Head. This one gets number 1 for best title of the year, but it's overall too much of a clone of the Babadook. The Shade. This one takes a while to get scary, and this is another horror movie that manifests trauma into an entity, and while I think this one does it well, this is a horror trope that I find a little overdone this year. A Quiet Place Day 1. This one doesn't really add anything to the Quiet Place lore, and it really focuses on telling an emotional story that is held up by our two main leads. Catcher, another indie horror that I was very impressed with. If you've ever experienced a pushy salesman or a guest that just won't leave, this one is for you. You'll Never Find Me. Really great slow burn horror that has really good payoff by the end of the film. Disappear Completely. One of the most fun and interesting premises in a horror film, but the ending left me unsatisfied. Abigail, a movie where the trailer made me excited to go watch this movie, but it also hampered my experience because the first 30 minutes of this movie you're waiting for the other characters to figure out what you already know. Low Lives. This is a to-be original horror movie with a nice little twist to keep things fresh. Smile 2. This is a better Smile movie, but it unfortunately is just all too similar to the first film, The First Omen. My favorite remake of the year, and a wonderful performance by our main character. VHS Beyond. I have not been too impressed with the previous VHS entries, but this one surprised me, and I really enjoyed a lot of the segments in this one. Cuckoo. I really love the vibes of this movie, but I think the story of this one gets kind of lost by the end of the film. Blink Twice. The way the story unfolds is tense and intriguing, and Channing Tatum is kinda terrifying in this. Azrael, a movie with no dialogue that works surprisingly well, and Samara Weaving is badass. Speak No Evil, I was very skeptical of this one going into it, but James McAvoy is just such a treasure to watch, and he keeps it engaging the entire way. And to kick off our top 10, we have The Coffee Table. This one definitely has the most shocking premise for a film, and the entire time I had anxiety immaculate. My favorite religious horror film this year, and Sydney Sweeney is incredible in this, and the birthing scene is one I cannot scrape out of my brain. In a Violent Nature. This one is not for everyone, but it worked for me, and this one was definitely the contender for most brutal kills, but a movie a little later on definitely outdoes it. The Substance. An absolute visual and auditory attack on my senses, and I mostly loved this film. It just got a little too repetitive, and the ending is maybe a little too bizarre for me. Late Night with the Devil. I love this movie. I love the 70s aesthetic. I just think it needed a little more oomph by the end of this film. Exuma. My favorite foreign horror film of the year. I love the characters in this movie, and there's some genuinely terrifying moments in this movie, but it runs just a little overlong for me. Terrifier 3. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I'm a huge Art the Clown fan, and this one delivers in nearly every single way. Longlegs. One of the more divisive films this year. Nick Cage is incredible, but I just wanted a little bit more scares in this one. Strange Darling. This is a pure thriller. I love the way the story is not told in a linear path. It keeps it exciting, it keeps it fresh, and the two leads of this movie are incredibly captivating. And finally, my favorite horror movie of the year so far is Oddity. To me, this is the scariest film of the year. I love cursed objects. I love the design of that creepy ass wooden figure. And my only complaint is that I wish it was a little longer so I could learn more about this world. But as a standalone original horror film, I cannot give enough credit to this movie, and everyone should check this one out. That's the complete ranking. You can find it on my Letterboxd. I have the whole list there for you guys, as well as a bunch of other lists. Did you enjoy the ranking? What do you agree with, and what don't you agree with? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.